على رسوله الكريم. So we're doing Hidayah 1, we're discussing the chapter with regards to the permissibility of making masa al-khuffain. Making masa al-khuffain. That is the leather socks. Son, okay, read the next ibarat, inshallah. Read the next ibarat, inshallah. Bismillah. لمن وجب عليه حديث والد السالم رضي الله عنه يقول كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يأمرنا إذا كنا سفرا أن لا نملع خفافنا 3 أيام ولياليها إلا عن جنابة. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. ولا يجوز المصل لمن وجب عليه الغسل. So thus far we discussed a little bit of the rules of making masa upon a khuf, and we said that when your wudu break, then you don't have to remove the khuf. You can just wash the feet. You just have to make masa of the feet. But this masa we did touch on a bit earlier, that if you become in need of a faraz ghusl, like for a husband-wife relationship, or maybe a woman, maybe she even she become clean. Okay, but that masa wouldn't apply because she wouldn't be having a khuf if she was in a hayd, because she wouldn't be reading salah, right? So that's not applicable. So say also a husband-wife relationship, or a person had a dream or whatever, and some of they had a nocturnal emission, whatever it is, we done that before. So now it was necessary to make a faraz ghusl. So when a ghusl becomes faraz upon a person, then it is necessary that that person will remove that khuf. There's no way you can make ghusl while you still keep the khuf on, even if it's actually physically impossible. But even if a person maybe design a way, maybe they put some plastic bag over their feet, or they stood upside down in the shower on on their hands, and they kept the feet out of the shower, it will not be permissible. When ghusl become faraz, you have to remove that khufsi. So وَلَا يَجُوزُ الْمَسُ لِمَنْ وَجَبَ عَلَيْهِ الْغُسْلُ, that masa will not be permissible for that person who ghusl becomes wajib upon him. And what is the proof? لِحَدِيثِ صَفْوَانَ ibn as-Salin. Safwan is, yeah, it is غير منصرف. Now remember, alif nun zaidatan, same like you had Uthman, right? So that's why you don't say لحديث صفوان ibn. You say لحديث صفوان ibn as-Salin, because of the hadith of Safwan ibn Asal, where Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam clearly mentioned that what he said, Nabi sallallahu said, أنه قال, Nabi sallallahu said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, Nabi sallallahu يأمرنا, is to command us, advise, إذا كنا سفرا, that when we were traveling, ألا ننزع خفافنا 3 أيام ولياليها, that we do not have to remove our khufs for 3 days and 3 nights. So that means from the time you make janabat, you can keep sorry, not from the time you make hadath, from the time your wudu break. So you don't calculate from the time you put the khuf on, you calculate from the time hadath take place. You can wear your khuf for 3 days and 3 nights, right? Allah nanzi'a khifafana thalathata ayami wa layaliha, for 3 days and 3 nights, illa an janabatin, except is the janabat, la an janabatin. That okay, those it makes sense. Okay, look here. Illa, you will not remove it except at the time of janabat. And you got there la an, that you will not remove it la, not except at the time of janabat. It comes to the same thing. So for 3 days when you're traveling, like you go, like how we travel also, you travel by plane, you go for Hajj, you go for Umrah, you go to Joburg, you go to whatever. So you can keep your khuf for 3 days. And obviously this can only be in winter, because in summer what will happen? Right, 3 days you got the khuf, you're sweating, you're perspiring, right? So, but obviously permissible, I'm just saying, right? Ila anjal, right? Walakin, so, an bowling or eating or naumin. But if there was urine or stool, number one, number two, or naumin or sleeping, then no problem. For 3 days you can continue making masa, right? Then لأن الجنابة لا تتكرر عادة. So this is not part of the hadith now. This is the reasoning. They're giving the reasoning. Now, I'll just explain that before. Look, why every time your wudu break, you don't have to remove the khuf. You just have to make masa of it. But when there's janabat, when your ghusl break, you need ghusl, then you have to remove it. Pretty simple. The reason is this, look here, your wudu breaks multiple times a day, right? So the whole idea of the khuf is to create some type of ease. But you don't need ghusl several times a day, unless maybe you're newly married. You have to make 3, 4 times a day. You have to make ghusl. But generally, normal people, their ghusl break maybe only once a week or maximum twice a week. And when they get older, maybe with 60s, 70s, maybe once a month or something like that. So there's no haraj, there's no difficulty in taking off your socks every time or taking your hoof off every time. That's what we're saying. See, لأن الجنابة لا تتكرر عادة, because the janabat does not repeat itself عادة generally once a week, whatever, right? So فلا حرج في النزع, so there's no difficulty in removing it. There's no difficulty in removing it. So must remove it. Remember, I told you that there's a principle, al-haraju madfu'un. That's a principle of fiqh. That's a principle you've done in usul fiqh. It's a principle you will also do, inshallah. Um, that's a principle you'll also do in, um, you'll do it in ifta, inshallah. So, فلا حرج في النزع. So there's no difficulty in removing it, right? So where there's difficulty, there's latitude. إذا ضاق الأمر اتسع. When a matter becomes difficult, then there's ease. بخلاف الحدث, contrary to حدث, right? لأنه يتكرر. It happens frequently. It happens abundantly. So there's some type of latitude. Carry on. Right. Then the next masla, وَيَنْقُضُ الْمَسْحَ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ يَنْقُضُ الْوُضُوءَ. Then everything which breaks your wudu will break your masa. In other words, like the normal breakers, we done the nawaqis of wudu, which are the nawaqis of wudu, like passing wind, passing urine, passing stool, laughing aloud in salah, where the person next to you can, yeah, that you laugh aloud out in salah, the person next to you can hear you, etc., etc. So the normal things that break your wudu, they will also break your masa. So when the normal nawaqis, when the normal breakers are found, then you will go and you will make wudu. But only difference is this here, you don't have to remove your khuf. You will just make masa your khuf. وَيَنْقُضُ الْمَسْحَ كُلُّ شَيْءٍ يَنْقُضُ الْوُضُوءَ. So everything which break the wudu will break your masa. لأنه بعد الوضوء. Because if you look at masa al-khuf, it is part of the wudu. So when the wudu breaks, your masa also breaks. So you have to renew your wudu, right? Carry on. Right. So there's something extra here also, that like the normal breakers of نزع الخف, the removing of the khuf will also break your wudu, right? So rather not break your masa, don't break your wudu. So that was maybe for some reason or the other you needed to remove your khuf. Maybe your toes was itching, or you're feeling, or maybe you're feeling very, very hot, etc., etc. So now you remove your khuf. So now you don't have to repeat your wudu. All you need to do is you have to wash your feet again. Understood? So وَيَنْقُضُ أَيْضًا نَزْعُ الْخُفِّ. So right, نَزْعُ الْخُفِّ, the removing of the khuf, يَنْقُضُهُ أَيْضًا, will also nullify what? It will nullify the masal khuf. So the moment you take your khuf off, that masa is nullified. You'll have to wash your feet again and put the khuf on again. And then from the time you make hadith, you got now another 24 hours if you're muqim, And if you're Musafir, you got another 3 days. Right. Carry on reading. Right. Why? لسيرة الحدث إلى القدم حيث زال المانع. Remember, we explained to you like this here, when a person makes wudu, right? And then uh, after having made wudu, you wear the khuf, right? So once you wear the khuf now, if your wudu breaks again, it's an abstract concept, but just to understand, as though the hadith wants to go back into your feet, right? But because you've got this leather hoof, you've got this waterproof thing, as though the hadith couldn't go into your foot. So the hadith comes and it settles. I thought it's an abstract thing, but just to understand it, as though the hadith came and it settled what? It settled on your hoof, as though the hadith settled on your hoof. Now, when you remove the hoof, so that means the hadith went into your foot again. So now, by just putting your hoof on back again, it doesn't remove, because remember we said the hoof is mani ul hadith. It is not rafi ul hadith. So the moment you remove the hoof, the hadith went into your foot. The hadith went into your foot. So to get the hadith out of your foot again, you have to wash your feet again to remove the hadith. And once you wear the khuf again, it will become mani hadith. If any hadith came after that, you broke your wudu, it will not go into the foot. See, لِسِرَايَةِ الْحَدَثِ إِلَى الْقَدَمِ, because of the penetrating of the hadith إِلَى الْقَدَمِ to the foot, حَيْثُ زَالَ الْمَانِعُ, when the mani means the thing that prevented the hadith from going to your foot, it was removed. It terminated. So now the hadith went um, into your foot, right? Read the next one. Right. So here we said, if that refer to if you remove both of the hoofs, then obviously you cannot put them back, because the moment you remove them, the hadith went into your feet, right? Here they're saying here, even if you remove one hoof, so you can't now say, once I remove one hoof, I'm gonna wash just one foot and put this hoof back on, and I'm gonna keep the other hoof on there. It doesn't work like that. Either you make masa of both feet, or you make you wash both feet, right? وَكَذَا نَزْءُ أَحَدِهِمَا, and like that also the removal of both of them two will also necessitate, sorry, like that the removal of one of them two will necessitate that you remove both and you wash both. Why? لِتَعَذُّرِ الْجَمْعِ بَيْنَ الْغَسْلِ وَالْمَسِّ, because of the impossibility of gathering, لِتَعَذُّرِ الْجَمْعِ, gathering بَيْنَ الْغَسْلِ, between washing and masa, في وظيفة واحد, in one obligation. How is it possible that your one foot you're going to be washing it, and your other foot you're going to be making masa? It doesn't make sense, right? Carry on. Right then, وَكَذَا مُضِيُّ الْمُدَّةِ لِمَا رَوَيْنَا. Then the next thing which makes it necessary is also where you have to now like take off the hoof and wash your feet, is the passing of the time. So for a mukim, remember we said it is 24 hours from the first hadith. For a musafir, 72 hours or 3 days and 3 nights from the first hadith, right? So wakaza, you got mudiyu or madiyu. That makes more sense. Mine's got mudiyu, but I remembered from the lesson is mudiyu, but we can change it also up. But many a times these words also they can be read in several ways, right? وَكَذَا مُضِيُّ الْمُدَّةِ لِمَا رَوَيْنَا, and also the passing of the time, because what we narrated, Nabi Sallallahu said, right, for a mukim it is 1 day, 1 night. For a musafir is 3 days, 3 nights, right? Carry on. Yeah, important masla interest. وَإِذَا تَمَّتِ الْمُدَّةُ, so when the time passes, whatever it is, mukim's time or musafir's time, right? Then نزع خفيه, he will remove his two hoofs. وغسل رجليه, and he will wash his 2 feet. وصلى, and then he can read salah. And even he wants to wear the khuf again, he can wear the khuf again. وليس عليه إعادة بقية الوضوء. It is not necessary upon him that you have to repeat the whole wudu again. So, if for example you just made wudu, say for instance, just a simple example to understand this. Say for instance, I wore the khuf now at 10 o'clock, right? Just so to say, right? And then my wudu broke at 11 o'clock, right? So tomorrow, 11 o'clock, say I made wudu at 10 o'clock again, right? And at 11 o'clock, my time expired. Just because I made wudu before that. So at 11 o'clock, I'll take off the khuf and I'll just wash my feet and I'll put my khuf back on again. I don't have to make a fresh wudu because I made a wudu besides it. Only my khuf is affected, or not my khuf, my masa is affected. So I only have to wash my feet, put my khuf on, and then I'm ready to go for another 24 hours from the time I make hadath. You understood that? So, وليس عليه إعادة بقية الوضوء وكذا إذا نزأ قبل المدة. And also, if you removed it before the time expired, before the time expired. So, like I told you, your 24 hours is not up, but you needed to remove your hoof. Maybe you wanted to cut your toenails, it was Juma, you wanted to cut your toenails, or maybe your toe was itching, or you were hot, you were sweaty, or maybe you were just feeling hot, so you removed it. So, then, same thing like that here. When you remove it, then we'll say you can't put it back without washing your feet. Because understand this abstract concept. When you took your hoof off, as long as the hoof was there, it was stopping the hadass from reaching your skin, your actual feet. But the moment you remove the hoof, we say the hadass settled on your feet. So now that was like a guard, it was a protector, it was protecting your foot from the what you call it, from the hadass. So the moment you remove that thing there, as though the hadass went onto your feet, so now you have to wash it again and remove the hadass and put the hoof on. Right, this is وكذا إذا نزع قبل مدة لأن عند النزع, because when you remove it يسري الحدث السابق, that the previous hadith that you made before, remember that the stock was preventing, يسري الحدث السابق إلى القدمين, it goes to the feet كأنه لم يغسلهما, as though he did not remove it. Okay, time is up, we'll stop there inshallah. Now we're going to do the tafsir. We're going to switch over to tafsir ibn Kathir with the same link inshallah. You're saving the lesson, huh?